Hello and welcome to today's session, Financial Planning for Families, getting everyone on the same page. I'm April Pope, Certified Financial Planner and your personal CFO. I love helping families bring clarity, structure, and confidence to their financial lives. So that's why I'm so excited about today's topic because we are really going to go beyond the numbers. It's really about the people. It's about dynamics, it's about conversations and shared decisions that make a financial plan work for your entire family. So, whether you are planning with your spouse, or maybe a soon to be spouse, or you're supporting aging parents, or you're helping your kids take those first steps toward financial independence, this session will give you some tools to create alignment, hopefully, reduce some tension, and move forward together as a family. So, I always like to start with a story. So there was a mom that I was working with, and she was managing it all. When we first got together and she first reached out, I got a list of kind of like, what kind of things are you dealing with? What are you working with as far as your finances are concerned? She was doing the family budgeting. She was in charge of the investments. She was in charge of the college savings plan, making sure those were funded. Even helping with her parents financially, her in-laws financially. She was that glue holding it all together. But here's the thing, her husband didn't really have any idea what was happening. And he was a great guy. It's not because he didn't care, it's just it was her role and she took it all on. So eventually it became too much. When she started out before they had kids and the family, and even when the family was young, it wasn't that much. But as the family grew and the financial challenges and just demands were more, that stress started to build up. And so she felt isolated, kind of like anxious about it, and he was just completely out of the loop. So they just weren't managing money. It wasn't the numbers. They were trying to manage emotions and fears and expectations and all the things. So what we did, we brought them together, had this conversation together with them. And so really that's when something powerful happened. One, it's easier when someone else is bringing up the topic in the conversations, the financial professional that you're working with. But after we looked at it together, they really stopped seeing their finances as her responsibility or her job. They started seeing it as kind of their shared vision. And so that's what we're talking about today, creating unity around your whole financial life so that every member of the family understands the goals, what the plan is, and what's their role in helping reach those goals and to implement that plan. So, point number one, we're going to talk about three here, but open communication is the foundation for, pretty much anything. Yes, we're talking money, but isn't communication the foundation for anything? When families struggle with money, what we find is that it is rarely about math or numbers. It's really about misunderstanding. So, having a judgment free conversation about money builds trust and clarity. And here's a few ways that you can start. Just schedule a money date, like once a month, maybe once a quarter, if you will, if you have a partner that you're planning with. If you don't, schedule that date with your financial planner. We used to do these we started weekly when we really needed to get this done. Then we moved to monthly, and now we're kind of at a quarterly cadence. But when we have these meetings, there's no spreadsheets, there's no finger pointing. It's just like a check in, like what's working, what's not, what's going on, what's coming up, using we language, instead of going into the meeting like you spent too much on Amazon. Trying to think of like, how can we make sure our spending matches what's most important to us? So we know you have these family goals, we know you have these things that you want to reach. And so we used to back in the day, we would look at our checkbook register and see if like, okay, what we spent this month on here, is this related to our goals? We said we want to buy a house. We said we want to go on a vacation. We said we want to do these things. And it looks like everything we wrote checks to are not going toward those goals. So it's kind of like a check-in. Of course, I don't think anybody writes checks anymore or uses a check register. Maybe you just look online or look on your online portal and see where your spending is going. Also involving your kids. So age-appropriate transparency. Key there, age-appropriate transparency. I'm not saying your kids need to have access to your bank accounts and look in there, but it teaches them responsibility and confidence. So you're not just talking about bills, you're shaping values, behaviors, legacy. So we talk about money every single day in our household. We have three boys. They spend all kinds of money. But we have the conversations. They know, what is it, what the money is used for, what are our goals. They have limits on things that they can do, and what they always think about it. So even if, everybody has their natural spending habits and saving habits, and all are different. So even within kids, some you're going to give them a budget. You'll say this is what you have for the weekend. You're going somewhere. Some of our kids, one of ours, it will be gone by 17 to 20 minutes after you give it to him. The other is going to come back with some left over that he saved because he wants to use that maybe for something else. The third, he's too little. He's just going to probably spend it on Roblox. I don't know. So when everyone understands really what the why is behind the financial plan, that's how it becomes a lot easier to follow. So when we're saving up for a vacation, and on those vacations you like to do those excursions. So if we say as a family, yeah, we're not going to DoorDash again, because remember, we're going here on this vacation in June, and remember you like to do those excursions, so that's what we're saving for. So we don't need to continue eating out. Let's make sure we use that money to save for our goals when it's going to be more. And they're like, yeah, I'd rather do that. There's plenty of food in the house all of a sudden now. All right, key point number 2, planning for multiple generations. So now let's talk about multiple generation planning. So because family decisions and even financial decisions, they don't happen like in a silo. It's not like, here's what's happening with my personal finances. Here's what's happening with my business finances. Here's what's happening with my, helping my parents as they're aging. Yes, those things are different, but usually they intertwine at some point. Now, I'm not saying I'm a business owner. Of course, I have my separate accounting and business structure in place, but it all still affects me. Business owners are still just humans that have parents and kids that they're taking care of. So many families today are a part of that sandwich generation that you've heard of. You're caring for your kids and your aging parents, and you're right in the middle, trying to figure out your own retirement and your own bills and things. So that balance can sometimes feel daunting or even impossible. So here's a mindset shift we want to think about. You can be generous and protect your own future. That's not selfish. That's sustainable. So think about it this way. College savings. Yes, 529 plans are amazing, great tools, and they should fit into your plan if you can, but they need to fit into your retirement plan, not replace your retirement plan. So we're not going to say, oh, I can't take advantage of my company match because I'm, putting too much into I want to make sure my kid can save for college. Like, let's think about that, maybe reframe, and just remember they can always get a student loan for college. Like, we don't want to do that, but it's an option. There's no, I'm getting ready to retire, let me take a retirement loan. That doesn't work. So you can't just put your retirement on the back burner to make sure you're paying for this college in the future. Just a thought. And then elder care. This is where it really is important to understand what type of insurance your parents have. What's their long-term care plan? Is it to move in with you? And if you don't know that, you might want to know that. And what are their estate documents looking like? Do they have financial power of attorneys in place? Do they have, a will, a trust? What do they have? Just so that you know. And if you are likely one that's going to be managing their affairs when they're gone, or if they become disabled or incapacitated, it's probably important for you to know that. And then wealth transfer. So even the modest of estates, if you will benefit from a will or a trust or beneficiary designations to make sure your intentions are honored. So financial planning across generations is really about clarity and boundaries. You can have your family set up, and you really can almost love your family, in a deep way by setting those limits that protect everyone's long-term well-being, especially yours. We don't want to stress out. You're not here then to take care of everybody you need to take care of. All right, key point number 3, our final one, is getting organized as a team. So the third pillar is organization. This is where planning moves from ideas and what you want to do into actual action. So if something unexpected happened tomorrow or today, would your family and your loved ones know where to find the key information? I see it all the time. One partner has the logins and all the account details and know what accounts they have, and the other has no clue where to start. So let's fix that. It's okay to have a nerd and a free spirit in a relationship. That's fine. One might be the Excel sheet guru. Doesn't mean that both of you need to do that. But You need to know and have at least a shared digital vault or a password manager or something for those essential financial accounts and documents that both of you and the whole family needs to have access to. Also, keeping a financial family binder. So that could be physical or digital. I know what age we're in now, but that includes like your insurance policies, your wills, your account contacts. Like, does everyone that needs to know who the CPA is that you work with? Do they know who your financial planner is? Do they know where your investments are? Do they know who would they reach out to at your workplace, like the HR department? Like, do they know how to reach those people if something were to happen to you? And then, of course, reviewing your estate plan every few years or after any major life changes. So we also want to make sure we designate roles. So, like, who's paying the bills, who's tracking goals. Everybody should be tracking goals in some way. Who's managing communication with your advisors? Like, whose roles are those? So that it's clear and nobody's thinking like, oh, well, you should have done that. You should have done that. We know who. If you need to delegate it or get help or you're doing something else, you can say, yeah, oh, I was supposed to, send our tax forms in to our CPA. Can you send those? Like, I'm busy. At least you delegate, but it's your responsibility. So naming the responsibilities, so you know who gets it done, basically. And when your systems are organized, your family, yourself, you feel a little bit more secure. Everyone knows what's handled, everyone knows what's not, and that's that peace of mind. So it's that type of work that you just don't feel like doing and you have so much other stuff to do and like this is just another thing that I don't want to do over the weekend. It's kind of like, I don't know, anybody like cleaning their garage? I don't. But when it's done, it sure does feel a lot better. So let's recap. Today's key ideas: 1, start the conversation. Make money a team discussion, not a solo burden. 2, plan across your generation. So supporting your kids and parents without losing sight of your own goals. That's most important. Put your mask on first. And then 3, stay organized together. So build some type of system that makes your financial life transparent, accessible. It doesn't have to be completely transparent. Like I said, don't give your kids your logins and bank account information. The way these kids are these days, they know how to do everything techie. They'd have it all scooted over to some video game account or something that they signed up for. But age-based transparency, and make sure it's something that's sustainable. So we used to, back in the day, have our big binder with all of our passwords written down. That was before you had to change your password every 17 seconds. So like that's out of date as soon as you write it down. So something that's going to be sustainable, like a password manager for accounts that you would want to make sure everyone has access to. All right. I always have an action step for you. So what's the one thing you can do? Here's what I'm going to suggest. Choose one conversation you have just been avoiding. Maybe it's about your parents' finances. Maybe it's about where they're going to live when they age. Maybe it's your spouse's retirement goal. Maybe it's teaching your teenager about the responsible way to handle money. Just have that talk. Even if it's uncomfortable, it's going to be. That's why you're avoiding it. It's the first step toward a more unified financial life, and that's what we're really going for. So here's what I want you to remember. The key here is clarity replaces anxiety. Now, not altogether. I'm not a doctor. I can't say that's a cure for anxiety, but a lot of the anxiety comes from worrying about the unknown. So if you have clarity and you know things are there, maybe that will reduce the stress that you don't even know that you have. You don't even know, but sometimes it comes in a dream or you wake up and you're like, why am I worried? What's stressing me out? I don't even know. But a lot of that is just something that's underlying. It's something you need to do. You don't have the time. You don't make the time to do it. And that clarity can replace that, or at least reduce that anxiety. And when your family's on the same page, your plan has a lot of power. So that's what we want to do. I hope that was helpful information for you today. Thank you so much for joining. Again, my name is April Pope. We will be back again for another one of these, but thank you again for joining, and I hope to see you again soon.